So continuing with this idea of threatened and imperiled languages, this is the graphic in your textbook, which shows some of the ones that are in most severe mode. Eastern Siberia, Central Siberia, these are very isolated places. Northern Australia, though, is actually getting more and more immigrants coming in to live there. Australia had for a time a white-only immigration policy up until like 1970. But now they're taking in lots more people from the Philippines, Vietnam. Their northerly neighbors here moving in. So I think that's kind of threatening those Aboriginal languages. And I want to say, too, about this, just looking at Australia, the diversity of the Aborigine is the same that you would have had with Native Americans. And so with any open mind or any knowledge at all about it, you'd know there'd be Ojibwas and Apache and Navajo and Iroquois and Seminole and Choctaw, Cree, Sioux, and so, hundreds. And the same thing is true for the Aborigine. It's just that because they were in largely marginal areas after they were driven out from, the southeastern and southwestern coastlines, it's just the ones that are kind of isolated to the deserts. And this is also true. This is part of the Amazon right here. This spot right here. This is in southern Colombia, Ecuador, western Brazil. This is mostly Bolivia and Brazil right here. But these are threatened, severe threats as well. So anyway. But there's still homelands for some of these people, in the Andes, like the Quechua speakers and the Aymara speakers. So, again, preserving these, recording these is vitally important for understanding the history of these people, the physical geographies in which they lived, and if we're being really self-serving in a modern sense of what drugs, what pharmaceuticals can we, I didn't mean drugs in the sense of like cocaine, but you can get cocaine from these areas of the Andes. I wouldn't suggest you snort coke, but they actually chew coca leaves here. And so we look at the medicinal properties of those, and yes, that's where the name Coca-Cola came from. But what benefits could we derive from them, and is there a cure for cancer in those areas? So again, if I'm being totally selfish, self-serving in this regard, then I would say, well, let's preserve those people and their knowledge of those areas, because it'll make all of humankind better. Oh, so I jumped ahead a little bit. Let me see if I can back up. I apologize, but I wanted to show you, this is the Waldseemüller map, I know, but oh, come on, let's go back, guys. Work with me here. Okay, so when we look at this map right here, and it is a hypothesis of where the linguistics with either more or fewer consonants per word, and the idea behind Ian Madison's linguistic hypothesis is that wetter areas have more consonant or fewer consonants per word. So you'll notice that the Amazon region, the coastal and Congo regions here, all across the Malay archipelago here, these are wetter areas, so they have more vowels, and drier areas in his research shows that they're going to have more consonants per word. So I at least wanted to take this from my physical geography course and show you about Hawaii. This is mentioned in your textbook, so look it up and read over it. But I wanted to show you that, right here, sorry, that if you look at the way the native islanders of Hawaii named lava, you've heard about Eskimos or Inuit or whomever having all these different words for snow. Well, look, they have lava there. The whole entire volcanic archipelago has lava all over it. So they differentiate between Pahoho lava and A'a lava. And either way, what do you see? Well, in Pahoho, you've got, what is it, 2/3 of the letters are vowels, and all of the ones for A are vowels. So that does at least support his, in just one example, his contention. And that being said, again, I'm not saying this is gospel truth, but in that research, hopefully others will follow up, and we will get more of a sense of how this plays out, if it's a valid, testable thing. So what I wanted to say here, though, is, without that being definitive, let's look at the Waldseemüller map back when I was talking about the Germans. And what makes this one unique is this. Columbus makes 4 different trips to the New World, spends a lot of time there, and still doesn't know he's in a new world. But even before Columbus dies, Waldseemüller has a map that shows what would be considered then an old world and a developing new world. So he is the first to develop an Atlantic Ocean separated from the Pacific Ocean. Okay, so this is Mexico that you're looking at right here that had been, of course, contacted by the conquistadors. It would be 1517, I think it is, or 1517, I think, when Cortez and his conquistadors reach the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan. So anyway, my point is that groundbreaking stuff like this has to happen. You have to look in it, but then it might have been a guess. They still guessed at sea serpents and all that kind of stuff as well. But this is trending more toward scientific evidence of what had been seen, the stories that had been brought back. So might we find then corroborating evidence and enough evidence that lets us say, well, yes, in languages in the wetter areas, that's what we're going to have. And this is, again, Pahoa and lava. So I love saying those. All right, let's look at this area too. I've looked at this area for a while because I've kept up with things like, look real quick, this is Black Sea, Caspian Sea. Look at the Chechens. So in the 90s and into the early 2000s, there were a couple of wars with the Chechens and the Russians. By the way, Georgia. So look at these black lines here. So that's the line for Georgia. This is Armenia. This is Azerbaijan with this little exclave here too. This is called Nakhchivan and this is called Nagorno-Karabakh. And ethnically it's Armenian. They've had wars over this. But all 3 of these countries were in Russia during the Soviet Union, and they broke away in 1991. Well, the Chechens wanted to break away too, but the Russians said, "Niet, you're staying in." So I watched over this for a while, and the Chechens and a lot of the people in this area, by the way, are Muslim. So the Azeris here, the Azerbaijanis, they're Muslim. Dagestan here, the Chechens, and many other of these are Muslims. They don't match up with the Russian Orthodox Church. Georgians, I believe, are kind of Christian. I'm sorry, I can't recall right now, and I know certainly Armenians are. But in looking at this hodgepodge of languages and religions, that's a real hot spot, guys. So that said, take a look here too at this. I love combat sports of all kind, from sumo to MMA, Thai kick, Thai boxing and Muay Thai. Things of this nature. So I love it all. And this dude right here is undefeated, and he has just been a beast in the UFC. He's Habib Nurmagomedov. Sorry, I knew I'd mess that up. And he's from this area. So he is an Avar, okay? So he's from Dagestan, and there are a lot of tough fighters coming out of there. But this dude right here, if you think, oh, he's got weird hair, that's a cultural hat, a head covering that they carry there. They hunt with eagles, and there's video of this dude wrestling a bear when he was like 6. I'm not playing. So they raise some of them pretty tough, but he is a devout Muslim too, and he's laid waste to anybody and everybody that's gotten in his way. And we'll see if that continues. So if you do like this and want to check them out, know that the linguistic front is quite almost always very complex, especially where you see mountains. So this is a mountainous region, and they're showing you that here with this red line saying this is the foothills of the mountain right here, the Piedmont, and now you've gotten into rugged landscapes up in this area. And I'll say one more thing too. Remember this in political geography when we look at Russia. We know that Russia has invaded Ukraine, but this area right here of Georgia right there is called Abkhazia, and this one right here is South Ossetia. Notice that North Ossetia is in their territory. So they invaded these 2 areas, and now Russia, the Russian state, deals with South Ossetia and Abkhazia that you see right here as independent countries now. So geopolitically quite unique.